And welcome back to the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We are so fortunate to have with us on the line none other than the guru himself, Coach Van Pettaway. Coach, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, Dr. Prince. Everything is going well, and I'm just looking forward to another great year of SWAC athletics and looking forward to continuing the wonderful message that you and your network get out there.
Well, we're trying, and as old Avis used to say, we work hard, Coach, because we have to. We don't have the big budgets, but we got a big mouth, and we figure what we don't make up in dollars, we'll wake up in content.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir. Look, we are to the point now, it's enough of talking, guesstimating, projecting. The 26th is here. And Jackson State will be taking on South Carolina State. And I got to admit, Coach, I thought I had to go into the witness protection program when I made my announcement about Jackson State. But it was all in good nature, of course. I am concerned, and when you look at it realistically, this is going to be the start of what could be a very unique season for Jackson State. I know the win is what we're looking for, but other than that, what will you be observing when this game kicks off?
Well, I'm going to be looking at how well the kids that are on Jackson State's team respond to their coaches. I'm looking to see if that cohesiveness that they had last year from the coaching staff to the players, I'm looking to see if that's there. I'll be looking to see if Coach Taylor, who I think is ready, will be able to relay to those kids that he is the guy for the program. In other words, by them performing on the field and paying attention to detail and going through their game plan, that will let me know that, yeah, the kids are bought in and they believe in Coach Taylor and his staff. And that's one of the things that I'll be looking for.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And to me, it's so critical due to the nature of their schedule. Man, when you look at this thing, you're like, this is not even fair. Yep. You start off against South Carolina State. Then you take on FAMU. Then you have Texas State. Then you start out this first month against Southern University.
Right,
right. Now, taking the emotions away from it is not unrealistic, Coach, that they could possibly start out 0-4 and 1-3 being the best case scenario, just looking at their opponents on the other side of the field.
Right, and that's so very true. It's a more challenging schedule this year than they had in the past, and we can look at this two ways. All of their games are going to be televised, so the whole world will be able to see how well or how poor of a start they get off to. So the eyes will be upon Jackson State this year.
Yes, sir. And you know what I love about talking with you, Coach? It's like you know how to just transition to the very next topic. You're not looking at my cheat sheet or something like you. Because you said something about television. It's been recently announced that the Summit Conference is going to sign up with CBS rather than stay with the traditional sports leader, ESPN. And they said due to the fact that they still see a value in linear TV, which is where everybody is kind of herding people to this digital platform. And we know it's here. It's not going to be, but it is here. And there's still value in linear television. We see with the conference of the Southwestern Athletic Conference with the HBCU Go TV deal. And they still have stakeholders. CW is now involved with our brand, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Yes, I understand the digital impact. I'm excited of getting in more homes through a linear platform such as a CW, a CBS, and a HBCU Go, who has a plethora of opportunities to network with other partners. Does this, to you, bring about a change in the Jerry Maguire factor, show me the money for our conference?
I think so. I think you hit the nail on the head. We got to take advantage of this. I think this is a prime opportunity for the SWAC to show the world and the networks that we have a product that's worthy of being on their networks. And I think we're in a great position right now. And I just hope that we as a league take advantage of it.
Yes, sir. Well, what used to be Power 5 is now Power 4. And to be quite honest with you, the big boys, Fox and ESPN, I think their cupboards are about there as far as laying out serious money for other conferences. And I've always compared our conference to the Mountain West Conference. And right now, the Mountain West Conference are receiving anywhere between $5 and $6.6 million per institute. I'm a firm believer that we should be in the platform of $3 to $5 million per institute for our beloved conference. And when you configure in the Apple TV opportunities, the CW opportunities, the CBS, and the HBCU Go, because they've let it be known that they don't just want secondary, but they want primary rights to our conference. And I'm just like, what's the Disney McDoodle Duck or whatever his name is, and all the money he had, I'm just sitting there just rubbing my hands together like, man, this is about to really be a reality, and it's a long time coming.
It is, and I hope that our powers to be understand the position that this conference is in now, and we take full advantage of it. In other words, we don't allow them to sell us short. You know, we've got to get what the conference really deserves, and I think our powers to be will put their heads together, and they'll come up with a deal that will inspire all of our institutions to take a bigger and a greater look at how our athletic teams can help our universities as a whole.
Yes, sir. Well, we do know that the realignment has been the main topic of college athletics, and unfortunately, people are not seeing where you connect the dots on how that literally has an impact on our level. And when I say that, the money gains are fastly evaporating. You have now they're talking about possibly separating football from all other sports and keep their sports regional and just let football travel across the country. We kind of touched on that when we last got together. And now it comes back on us filling in our seats. Our seats. We show up for homecoming, that's no problem. I don't know how it is in Huntsville, but I know here on, watch this, Coach, the real Hill. I know as soon as the football schedule breaks out, they when is homecoming? When is homecoming? We circle homecoming, and we'll save all our pennies up and show up for homecoming, but we suffer our other home games, which bottom line affects our revenue. And we got to find a solution to that, Coach. Can you help me get a jump start on that?
Well, I think that's a issue and a problem that's been out there for decades, and I don't think it's an easy fix. But one of the things when you see homecoming, all home games should be homecoming, and that's the mentality that we've got to try to convey to our people, because that's the missing piece. That's the only piece that we in the HBCUs are missing, where our home attendance has got to increase. And we've got to find a way for these institutions to figure out the best way to put people in those seats for every game and not just homecoming. That's why I feel like we got to put more emphasis on homecoming being every weekend that our teams show up.
Yes, sir. I'm thinking, and I've been very vocal about this, that people that are regular listeners to this program, and they say, here you go. But to me, the missing piece is true community collaboration. And if you find a way, and like I said, I can only speak for the surroundings that I'm at in Prairie View. rich history, lovely tradition, but we're in a rural area, and incomes are not as plush as they would be in a major metropolis. And you got to adjust to your environment and create more engagement. And by that I'm saying, if I'd rather sell a $10 ticket and have people there than a $25 ticket and no one shows up.
That's true.
So you got to, it's the supply and demand, and that way you can actually create a more embedded home field advantage.
Right, you're absolutely correct. We've got to come up with creative ways of getting more people into the stadium. We've got to make it has to be a game day experience. It cannot just be all about the game. I think in these athletic departments, we've got to look at other ways of making it an experience for our fans as a whole. And I think we'll begin to see more and more of them coming out to enjoy the entire total experience.
Yes, sir. And that goes back to that saying, let every game be a homecoming event or experience. And whether you could, we only have, 4 games in minimum cases? Our
four
case,
is
anyway.
Minimum, yes.
Right. And so, and you can get certain ventures and groups in the communities and high schools and feature a high school per home event, and you feature everything connected to that high school from kindergarten to 12th grade and the families that are attached to that particular school district, and you feature them, and it might only be a couple of thousand people, but those couple thousand people can make a huge impact when you look at your student base. And I think it all boils down to the student base. Our students have so many things that preoccupy them today than yesterday, and they be like, well, I don't need to worry about that. And the same thing that we clamor for can be the same thing that hold us back. We want all these games on television, which we know is a money maker, but then those same people that we have in such a small niche on that HBCU platform, they go like, well, why go to the game and I can watch it here on the stream? Right. So it's almost like we got to pick and choose our battles.
That's true. You're absolutely correct. So it's a big gamble when you televise all your games, because you will have a group of people that say, well, I'd rather watch it in the comfort of my home and than to be out there. But community involvement, I think, is the big key. You got to find ways to engage your community, because it has to be a community team. The community has to take ownership to that team in those respective cities, and I just think that's something that we all can take a look at, and we can all put our heads together and come up with more ways to engage our cities and our communities, so that we can get more people out to these games.
Yes,
and
sir.
The other thing, and Dr. Chris, the other thing too now, some of the games, it depends on the matchup too now. Some matchups will create a crowd, and I'm not just talking about your rival games. There are some other teams on the schedules that our fans. I don't know, like here in Huntsville, when Alabama State is our biggest rival. But when Southern comes to town, when Jackson State comes to town, those games tend to create great interest. And then the other thing, that in our part of the country, we came from the SIAC. There are certain SIAC teams, they will outdraw a SWAC team, because our history was built on the SIAC. So we've got fans and fan bases that remember those rivals in those games, and they tend to come out, because I do remember that, on the basketball side, I could put a SIC opponent on my schedule, and it's still going to be almost a sellout, if not a sellout, depending on the team that I would bring in. So matchups are key also, and when we start looking at our non-conference schedules, we can make it more attractive for our fans when we schedule those traditional rival games that we've had in the past. So I think our athletic directors, they have to look at that as being a key component in bringing out more fans. The opponent that we're bringing into our places, I think that has a lot to do with it.
I'm going to agree to disagree slightly, and I'm going to go 60% in agreement, 40% in not agreement. And the reason I say that is, regardless of who our opponent is, we should still support our programs.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, and so I do understand the importance of the opponent, but in times past, we'll ask as a fan base, well, we need to play better opponents. You get the better opponents, and they still don't show up because it's not a homecoming or a classic. And so then it's like, well, what do you do? Because I can recall when Prairie View played Texas A&M. Now, in realistic, all honesty, and as they say, complete transparency, we know the odds were dead set against us of winning that game, right?
Correct.
And it still didn't stop 90,000 people or 70,000 people showing up in the stadium, filling that thing up as they were celebrating their Aggies. And if the roles were reversed, if we're playing, let's say, an NAIA opponent, which we know we should no doubt have no problems winning that ball game, people say, well, get a better opponent. So we can't have our cake and eat it too. If we're going to support, we need to support and go out there, even if you ain't doing it, but having a good time with some buddies, and say, okay, we know this should be a sleeper, and just enjoy the festivities of what a football game can bring.
Right. Well, I mean, you're right. But when I'm talking about bringing in rivals, I'm talking about teams that will draw. In other words, it might be just a little bit different here in the Huntsville area, but there are certain teams that are not in the SWAC. When they come to our place, they're gonna bring a crowd, and then our fans come out to see them. We can still have a large gate and it not being a SWAC opponent. And I just hate to say this, but when you take a school like Mississippi Valley coming to Huntsville, I can name several other non-conference schools that will outdraw Mississippi Valley because of the fan interest, because our fans are interested in those games. And it goes back to what you're saying. No matter who we play, our fans should still come out and support. But I think you get more support when there's a interest factor there for our fans. So when some of those other teams that we play, and they don't have to be the PWIs, our fans will come out, they will fill up that stadium, they will fill up that parking lot, and our tailgating areas are off the chain, and they're not SWAC opponents. So I just think it's regional. I think it depends on what region of the country you're in. I think it goes back to your fan base. What are they accustomed to? What do they like? And I just think that it's going to be different from in different parts of the country.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I can accept that as the old folks say, and receive that as a point of reference. So I did a little show a few episodes ago, Coach, where I gave what I felt were the strongest fan base support. And when I was basing these criteria, fan support other than a classic or other than homecoming. And I'm going to run through this list real quick, and then I'll tell you how I came. Well, I came based on my personal experience and based on actual data of attendance. And so here's my list. Number 1 was Southern University. Number 2, FAM. Number 3, Jackson State. Number 4, I had Grambling. Number 5, I had Alcorn. Number 6, was Alabama State. Number 7 was Prairie View. Number 8, I had Alabama A&M. Number 9, I had Texas Southern. Number 10, I had Pine Bluff, Arkansas. No, I didn't have Pine Bluff. I had Bethune-Cookman. Number 11 was Pine Bluff. And then number 12 was Mississippi Valley.
Not a bad list. Not a bad list. Your top 4, I would agree with them. I would agree with that. I'm gonna be honest now. Alabama A&M travels a little bit better than where you had them ranked, because when you look at it, because I know for a fact that we take buses to Houston. You know, when we have played out at Prairie View, when we played at Texas Southern in football, you know, buses leave this city going out there with our fans, along with our alum who live in that area. Because I know in basketball, I wouldn't even have enough tickets out in the Texas area for my players, and our guests. We didn't have enough tickets. So now that would be the only one, I think, with Alabama A&M being ranked that low. I think when you look at when you go to different places, you can look and see that maroon and white when that team's on the road. So, but I really like your top 4: Southern, Southern Fam, Jackson State. Those programs, those fans travel. They show their support.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I have no problem with that.
And to be quite fair and honest with you, it was a mad scramble for me after 4, because you could have jumbled them all up.
Correct.
And put it. And once again, it seemed like it's been forever and a day since Alabama A&M has actually traveled here to Prairie View. It's been a while since we played.
Right.
So it was based, like I said, on my personal experience, on what I was able to witness. And, Coach, I'm trying to think, when was the last year the Bulldogs came to Prairie View?
Yeah, I know. It's
when
been a while.
Even played. And even if we played.
Right.
You know.
It has been a while. And then and Alabama A&M should be higher. It's based on my experience, because that's just like take this year's schedule. My friends and colleagues already know we've already made plans for Southern. We've made plans for Vanderbilt. We've made plans for Jackson State in Mobile. So I know, because I've been a part of the groups and the different organizations that put on these trips, these away trips, because they definitely want to show their support. We've got 3 alumni groups that normally take buses to the away games, and I know that the fan interest is there. I've been a part of it, and to walk into a visiting arena and see all that maroon and white, I think it does well for our student athletes. It does well for the recruiting aspect. So that's why I was basing my own personal experience with Alabama A&M and how our fans travel.
Okay. Now you know it's time for me to put you on the spot, right, Coach?
Go ahead.
You know, we gotta. It's football season. We gotta have this kind of fun, right? Let me have you look into your crystal ball, sir. And how do you see the standings coming from the East and the West this season in football?
Well, on the West, I'm just like everybody else. I think Southern will be the top dog on that side. I think because of their depth. I think because of what I've been hearing and reading about in their quarterback room, how stacked that quarterback room is, and we all know that's where that football team starts, with that quarterback. So Southern on that side, and because FAMU has been Cinderella for the last few years to Jackson State, I think they were right when they said FAMU would come out on the East. But I do know this, on the East, I think they're sleeping on Alabama A&M. So I've got to always speak up for my Bulldogs. I think we'll have a lot to say. I think we'll have a lot to say about who's crowned champion on the East side. But FAMU, I think FAMU and Southern will be meeting in the championship game.
Okay. And I got, at this point, before any game takes place, I got Alcorn for some reason coming out on top. And so we'll see. Is it going to be, from your perspective, FAM against Southern, or from my perspective, FAM against Alcorn? Okay. And either way, I think would be a very intriguing match. And dare I say who would win between those two, we'll let that unfold as the season progresses along. Coach, it seems like every time we get together, man, before you know it, time has gotten away from us. And I want to give you some closing thoughts and comments, sir.
Well, Dr. Prince, I think we're going to be off to we're going to have a great year when it comes to SWAC football, and I look forward to us getting together, coming up with our grades, and making sure that we at least we get to the midterm. We give out our midterm grades so that we can find out what the final looks like. So I'm looking forward to matching wits against you this year. And I think at the end of the year, my grading scale may be a little bit higher, but we shall see.
Well, it's definitely the part of the fun, and we can't wait to get this thing started. Don't forget, the MEAC SWAC Challenge will be on August the 26th, 6:30 Central Time for our kickoff here. And hopefully the Jackson State Tigers, I love, can start off on the right foot, and we shall see. He is the guru, Coach Van Pettaway, and I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We do thank you for joining in with us. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.